Hi guys, Artiar here. So for this video is about the collection event, or we call it the treasure echo event. Like you are able to pick one esper out of the 6 choices, and then you are able to use a discount amount of 70 wish stone to get the esper of your choice, because you can actually select them, right, to which one you want. But you can only choose one, because you see remaining spin 1 out of 1. So it's not like if you have a lot of wish stone you can pick every one of it here. No, you can only pick one. So it's a very difficult choice to actually pick one esper out of these six esper of your choice. And there's also a limited range for all the esper, like Inferno esper. There's this 5 wind esper and flow esper as well. Alright, so I'll make a guide video of this, and then I'll separate them into a few sessions as by using the timestamp. Feel free to use it. So I'll separate it R0, R2 and R6. So this kind of situations, for example, if R0, who will be the best in slot choice for me, and for R2 as well and R6 as well. So feel free to put in your own position at the resonance session to see my own recommendation. Alright, so let's take a look here. This is the tier list itself, right? Then this is the esper pool that we have in the collection event, and then I differentiate it into a few tier, which is a must get, might get, and consider, and a hard skip. So I'm gonna start this with a R0 tier list. Right, so for R0, if you don't have Brewster, and if you don't have Brewster and Brewster appears at your collection event choice, right, I would say Brewster is a might get. Right, might get for R0 Brewster situation. Then for Changji, I would say consider, because Changji mainly shines when he's R2. When he's R0, it's like usable but not really that good, right? So I would say Changji is consider, and Changji only shines at PvP, and for PvE not really. So it's a lower tier than Brewster. Brewster can be used in PvP and PvE as well. Embla, if Embla is R0, like you don't have Embla and you are thinking to get her, I would say Embla is a might get. A might get for Embla, because R2 Embla will like meta in PvE, but when R0 is like good to have but not a must get. Then for Genie, if you don't have Genie and it's R0, I would say it's a skip, because Genie is only usable when it is R2. So when it's R0 situation, I don't think I would even use Genie at all when it is R0. So I would put a hard skip. And for Mavis, if you don't have Mavis and Mavis appear on your list and you have the wisdom for it, definitely get her. She is one of the best R0 esper that's already functionable and even 0 skill up as well. If you check out my Mavis is R0 as well, but I'm already using her in my PvE and also PvP content. See, R0 Mavis, no skill up, but I also use her already a lot in almost every situation or almost every gameplay. So Mavis is a must get for R0 situation. Then for height, I would say it's a hard skip if you don't have a height and then you are considering to getting an R0 height. I would say a hard skip. Height is only mainly used in PvP situation, and he is not really that good in PvP now if you are low reso. If you are high reso, then yeah, but cause now this is a R0 situation, I would say height is a hard skip. Then Jinchu, I would say it's a might get if you miss the Jinchu event and then you want to get Jinchu for your Andras, then might get Jinchu for that. But other than that, not really, right? But okay, maybe consider, cause Jinchu is not the same tier as Embla and Brewster's priority. I'll say Jinchu is consider. Esper, okay, then Nora here, I would say consider as well. Nora is not mainly used for any kind of situation for now other than Andras, so I would say they are Nora and Jinchu is kinda playing at the same position when they are at R0. Then for Farah, it's a very good R0 esper for PvP situation, maybe some situation for PvE as well. Farah doesn't need R2 to be workable. If she is R2, it's even better, but R0 is already very strong. so I would say might get. Same for Archibald. Archibald doesn't need high reso, and he can do dispel and also force the enemy to use normal attack on PvE situation. So he will be very good in like all those tower content. So I would say might be a consideration. Then if you are R0 situation and then Gaius and Leora, they are kind of working the same thing but in a different way. But their job is the same. It's like cleaving the enemy, or maybe you want to apply sear, all those stuff, right? So I would say must get. And then for Lian is one of the best healer Esper or a shield Esper in the game right now, even though in R0 situation. So I would say Lian is a must get for R0 situation. And then for Ethan is mainly shine when he is in PvP and he is in R2. So if R0, I would say I would put actually a hard skip for it, unless you have other Esper here already and then you really want Ethan and then you really want to slowly use the club sticker to slowly get his reso, then you can get him. But for me, I would be a hard skip if it's a R0 Ethan. Then for Valeria, I would say it's a consider. Like Valeria is good at R0 but not that good unless she's R2. Then for Hilda, it's a totally must get for R0 situation. She's like one of the meta Esper for PvE, Infinity Tower and Temporal Tower as well. She can help you solve a lot of tower content and also the Calamity Tower, for example, right? Okay, so that's the R0 one, and now let's take a look at the R2. So if you are R1 and then you are considering to get her R2, I would say Genie is a must get to R2 for PvP situation. If you really want to play Genie with in PvP to counter Anna, Genie must be a R2. So if you are aiming for that kind of path, like aiming to counter Anna, Genie is a must get if it's R2 situation. Hilda it's not necessary to be R2, but it is a good choice as well because it applies more poison now, but not really a must. Then for Lian, R2 is a must get because R2 for Lian, she gets an extra turn when the bubbles S3 pop off, and if you build her with Ocean Wave after casting S3 and then the S3 pop off already, you can cast S3 again because you'll instantly get back a turn from that R2 effect. So R2 is a must get for Lian. And then Leora for R2 situation, hard skip. Leora doesn't need R2 to work. Leora R0 is already workable, so I will not get extra reso for Leora. Then for Gaius, I would say consider, because Gaius R2 gives like accuracy sharing for your whole team 20% or crit rate sharing for your whole team 20% when he's in God mode or maybe in human mode, right? So he will share different kind of buff. So it is a good to have, but not really necessary to have in the sense, right? Then for Mavis R2 is good to have, like it reduces your cooldown when when there's 3 Graveless Esper in the battle, so it reduces the S3 cooldown faster, so you can cast S3 to make them back to their normal form. So it's good to have, but not really that necessary. Brewster, I would say must get for R2 Brewster, because R2 makes the Brewster every round will have a 3 bullet from the start. This is a very big thing for like waves content, such thing, right? So it's a must get for R2 Brewster. Is like a big improvement. Then for height, I would say a hard skip, because R2 height doesn't really change anything else, so hard skip. Then for Changji R2, if you are looking for a PvP situation, R2 Changji is where he really shines. So for R2 situation, Changji is the one of the choice to go for, but this is for mainly PvP. Then Embla R2, definitely a must get if you are R1 Embla now, because R2 Embla will make her seeds damage proc as an AoE damage, so it's definitely a must get if your Embla is R1 and you are aiming for R2. Ethan as well, if you are R2 situation, Ethan R2 will make everyone start with with his plus 20 speed buff, which is game changing for a speed team in PvP. And for PvE situation, sometimes you also will need Ethan to do some leaderboard content, because he'll be sharing the crit rate plus 20%, crit damage plus 20%, and speed as well. So it's a very good choice to get Ethan R2. Then Farah is a might get, because Farah R2 will make her faster when he get hit by flow type of Esper. So I would say must get, not might get, but not really necessary. Nora, I would say consider. It's not really that important because she don't really she don't really shine a lot in a lot of content, right? Then for Archibald, I don't think it's really that necessary, so I would say it's a hard skip. Then for Jinchu, I would say consider, because the sharing buff thing, it will be interesting to go, but is it really that important? I don't really think so, right? So I'll put it here. Then for Valeria, I would say might get, because Valeria will be sharing the power reserve to your whole team to reduce the damage taken, which is a very good thing. And mostly Valeria will shine when she is R2, because she will make your team very protective. Right, so this is the R2 situation, and next we'll be going to R6 situation. So now let's take a look at R6 situation. If you are R6 Ethan, definitely a must get for PvP situation, because every time the AP every time enemy uses an AP skill, Ethan will take 50% of the effect to apply on your team as well. So R6 Ethan will be a game changing for a speed cliff meta, but it's only mostly used in PvP. Okay, Embla R6 is a definitely must get, because you want Embla to reduce her stack, so Embla is able to proc her stack even faster for PvE situation. Okay, then for Changji R6, I would say a must get as well, but this is for PvP situation, because you only mainly use Changji for PvP. Then for Brewster R6, I would say might get. Like R6 Brewster is like really strong, but is it that necessary to have the splash damage? Because now in PvP situation, because of the Mavis, because of Anna, all those things, Brewster isn't that used that often anymore. So I would say a lower tier, so we might get R6 Brewster. Then for Lien, R6 is definitely a must get, because you start the round with the bubble buff, which is a very important buff. Then I would say R6 Lien is a must get. Guinea R6, I would say might get. It's not as it won't really change her kit that much or that big, but it's really strong to have it. But I would say it's the same tier as the Brewster's R6 effect. For Valeria R6 effect, I would say might get, because every time you cast the S1, right, then you're gonna get a 30% chance to get an extra turn, and this thing can actually stack with the Astro set if not mistaken. So R6 Valeria is actually very strong, but if you can make her R6. Then for Farah, R6 isn't that necessary, because yeah, it's some extra DPS there, but it's not necessary to have the extra DPS from Farah's R6 effect. Then for Hilda, I would say might get, or maybe even must get Hilda, because you start your battle with the Deep Sleep, and Deep Sleep is able to make the whole team, the enemy team, when they take their turn, they're gonna have the sleep effect. Okay, so I would say must get if you have R5 Hilda and you're going for R6. Then for Jinchu, I would say consider, because Jinchu R6 effect is he cannot get stun, and he cannot get sleep, but he still can get freeze. But it's a very good counter against like R6 Hilda or all those stun unit. So I would say Jinchu is a consider unit for R. Then for Nora R6, I would say hard skip isn't that necessary to have Nora R6. Then for Mavis as well, cause Mavis I would say she is really good in R0 already, and not really necessary to aim for R6, so I would say it's hard skip as well. And then for Gaia's R6 effect is another thunder, so it's another DPS output, but isn't that really necessary to have another thunder there, so I would say consider. Then for Archibald, R6 is actually very good, because Archibald's R6 effect makes his S2 able to reset his S3, so you can S3, S2, S3, something like this. So it's a very good thing for Archibald, so I would say might get, but not like really a must get tier, I would say. Then for Leora, I don't think it's really necessary to get her R6, then I'll put it here. Then for height, R6 is good to have in PvP, so I would say I might get height R6 effect. Alright, so that's all for my own tier list for the collection event as per they have in the choice now. So I think, or I hope, the differentiate of the R0, R2 and R6 effect will actually help you decide what choice you want for your own as per collection, cause you can only pick one. So hope you guys enjoy the video and see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.